It's a crutch to help us come to a higher reality, spiritual reality, that is our relationship with Krishna. So we should keep that in the forefront of our mind as we have this discussion. Grihastha, happiness in Grihastha ashram is not everything, because it's temporary. Even the happiest Grihastha ashram must come to an end. Even happiest relationship must come to an end. In due course of time, even in the happiest relationship between husband and wife, one will die and the other will cry. The whole thing is temporary. So how to navigate this relationship, how to arrange it, to navigate it, so it becomes an asset in our life. It becomes a plus. In Krishna Bhakti, in Grihastha Ashram, 1 + 1 = 3, if you understand what I'm saying. What you can do by yourself and what a husband can do by himself is 1 and 1. But if you combine the two nice devotees, then 1 + 1 is more than the sum total. 1 + 1 = 3. And this is a proposition of Grihastha Ashram. How to combine for Krishna's happiness, to please Krishna. And this is the whole principle we're discussing. So we shouldn't lose sight of that as we talk about the intricacies of how to manage the different challenges in our life, different obstacles in our life, different mental blocks in our life. We're trying to understand that because we want to approach pure devotional service. We want to be pure devotees in this lifetime, and we want to go back to Godhead. We have the highest objective in life. We want the highest thing, and it's not easily obtained. So this discussion is meant to bring us closer to that highest objective, pure devotional service, Krishna Prema, which is the highest achievement for the human life. So we had a third question. I hope that, please keep those thoughts in mind. We had a third question that we didn't get to yesterday. Third question was, we get a lot of counseling regarding how to be in Grihastha Ashram. Like women should learn to cook nicely, be tolerant, submissive, chaste, obedient, pleasing to husband, and devote their lives to looking after home and nourishing children and family, and not work outside. Our male devotees also made to learn with so much emphasis how to be responsible, caring husbands and fathers. We can hope that the men are getting counseling. I do counseling for the men also. When I'm traveling in the Delhi yatras, I also have the great opportunity in my life to associate with the young men. They divide it into two, the Gauranga Sabha and the Nityananda Sabha. The Gauranga Sabha are young men that have decided they would prefer to live as brahmacharis and ultimately accept sannyas someday. Anyway, live a life of complete celibacy and not marry. This is Gauranga Sabha. Also, there's Nityananda Sabha. Also equally desirable is to live a life of regulated life in Grihastha Ashram, Nityananda Sabha. So one of the things I emphasize in that group is to be responsible. If you're going to be married, this is a life of intense responsibility. You're accepting responsibility for not only wife, but for children. And this is Krishna Bhakti. This isn't separate from our life of Krishna consciousness. Many devotees say, I have all this burden of my life. I have a job, I have a boss, I have bills to pay, car insurance, rent, food, clothes, education, medical bills, so many bills, so much pressure is in my life, and I don't have time for my spiritual life. I try and emphasize to these young men that this is your spiritual life. Just like caring for children. One time, one Mataji approached me. She's the wife of a very nice devotee. His name's Radhika Raman. They have two beautiful, amazing young kids. They're like babies, baby sadhus, you know. So anyway, she was complaining that I am so overwhelmed with my life taking care from these children that I don't have time for my spiritual life. I said, Mataji, this is your spiritual life. Taking care of your children is your spiritual life. And for a man, being a responsible husband and father and provider for your wife and children is your spiritual life. Will Krishna be pleased if you renounce that? If you leave your children, if you leave your wife, and no one's going to take, who's going to take care of them? This is your responsibility. And to neglect that is an offense. It's a neglecting your spiritual responsibility. So yes, the men require training, especially because in Kali Yuga, men in particular are brainwashed, methodically brainwashed by media. That success for a man means to be the enjoyer and master of not just one woman, but many women, be an enjoyer, be a real macho, tough guy with a girlfriend, many girlfriends, a motorbike, a gun. And this is the message that is promoted all over the internet, all over through media, in the movies, on television. What is a man? A man is a loving, responsible, compassionate husband and father, but he's a tough guy, a macho guy. So this is a brainwashing that goes on that men are subjected to, and they have to get over it. They have to understand that their happiness is to be a responsible father, to be a responsible husband, to take care of your family, because this is part and parcel of your Krishna bhakti. It is your spiritual bhakti. It is your spiritual responsibility. And when a man goes out and makes money, it's not just making money for sense gratification, but you're making money for serving Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. Who are the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis? Your wife and your children. You're doing Vaishnava Seva, Vaishnavi Seva, by making money to provide for your wife and children, to worship the deity in your home, to pay rent, to pay a mortgage, to maintain an ashram where your Krishna bhakti is going on. This is all part and parcel of your responsibility as a responsible man, responsible father, responsible husband. So yes, they need that training. And I hope to God, someone other than me, is how much can one person do? This is very, very important. And this is Shastra. Not just that women should be chaste and submissive, obedient, pleasing, accepting responsibility for family members. This is true. And this is Shastra also. It's not just that we're teaching something outside of Shastra. You read in Bhagavatam, 7.3 Bhagavatam, there's a detailed description of the responsibilities of a woman who can be called chaste. And these are all the things that are expected of a woman. To cook, to clean, to take care of family, to dress nicely, all these things, to be submissive to husband, to have loving feeling for husband. This also puts great responsibility on the husband. So both things have to go on, like a bird. I use this example. A bird flies with two wings, correct? We never see a bird flying with one wing. It'll just fall out of the sky. The wings are opposite. They're different from each other. But when they cooperate, when they fly in harmony, then the bird can go anywhere. So in our Krishna bhakti, when husband and wife cooperate, when they each does their duty responsibly, then you make great progress and life becomes heaven. Srila Prabhupada said, if the husband is first class and the wife, I'm quoting, this is a quote from Srila Prabhupada, if the husband is first class and the wife is chaste and faithful, then home is heaven. And who doesn't want to make their home heaven? So everybody has responsibility. So man also has to be responsible. And I hope that they're being trained by someone else besides me, because this is a very, very important thing. That the young men that come to our society get over this stupid, imperfect, ridiculous idea that man is supposed to be a macho, tough guy. Because he'll never be happy. If he tries to have this mentality, that he'll guaranteed he'll never be happy in his life, because he'll never know how to care for someone, how to be loving, how to be compassionate, how to be tender, how to show affection. Because everyone wants this. Affection is not just one-way street. Affection, you give affection and you receive affection. But if you never learn how to be affectionate, if you're too busy being a tough guy, being a macho guy, being tough and rough and like this, how will you be happy? How will you be happy with your wife and children? So men have to get over this if they want to be happy in marriage. And yes, they need to be trained. So the short answer, Men need to be trained. Women need to be trained. This is Kali Yuga. And the other side of the coin, women are also brainwashed to be seductive and be sexy and to be a seductress, to agitate the minds of men, to dress. And this is what they do. You look, I open my computer and it comes up to a Google page. And there's all types of pictures of actresses. Now, are they dressed appropriately with sari and their body covered nicely? They're half freaking naked, because this is the message of materialistic society. Show your body to the world to agitate a man's mind, to attract them to your body. How can a woman be happy if this is the basis of her relationship with a man? That relationship is very temporary. Chapala suk is very, very flickering happiness. Happiness doesn't mean bodily happiness, sensual happiness. Happiness means the happiness everyone is actually looking for is the happiness we get in a relationship. To be with someone who thinks this person is the most important person in my life, that I sacrifice everything for this person's happiness. So if wife is thinking like this about husband, husband is thinking like this about wife, then married life becomes heaven. Because who can care for you more than your husband or your wife? But if women are brainwashed to think, trained to be a seductress, to be sexy, to be appealing to men, to agitate the mind of a man, how can there be happiness in society? And if the men are trained, if they're brainwashed for this tough guy, macho image, then how will they ever have a relationship with a woman outside of a sexual relationship? And sexual relationship is not a relationship. This is a very temporary thing, and it will never make you happy in millions of years. So we regulate that. Everyone wants this in the material world, so regulate. Be married, be a gentleman, be a lady. Use that only in relationship with your husband and your wife, and make progress towards a higher principle. So this is a very important thing. Training has to be there. And this is actually revolutionary, because this is the opposite training that we're getting from the impressions we get from the internet, from the movies, from society in general, everywhere we look. I mean, they advertise cars with the body of a woman. What does an attractive woman have to do with buying a car? You need a car to drive to work, to go shopping, to visit your relatives. It's a very objective, practical. What does a woman's body have to do with it? But you see a picture with a car, and there's some attractive woman with her hand draped over the hood of the car. You know, buy our car, and then you can get a girl like me. And this is meant to appeal to men who want this tough guy, macho image to be attractive to women, to have a nice car. The whole advertising industry is tailored to make people greedy, lusty, unhappy, unsatisfied, and completely crazed for material sense gratification. Because a greedy, lusty, unhappy person is what? They're a good customer. Because they think, I will spend money, I will go in debt, I will get the car, I will get the clothes, I will get the jewelry, and I will get the girl, I will get the man, if I dress in this way, if I drive a nice car. And the whole advertising industry brainwashes society to think in this way, that material happiness is happiness. It is not happiness. Happiness comes from the inside, from our heart, not from the outside through our senses, not from the outside in, from the inside out, from the core of our heart. Happiness can only come in our relationship with Krishna. We have a Krishna-shaped hole in our heart, and you can't fill that hole with sex. You can't fill that hole with drugs. You can't fill that hole with money, with position, with education, with alcohol. You cannot fill it with anything except Krishna. So we need education. This is the objective of ISKCON. ISKCON is, if you distill everything down, we are an educational institution. We're meant to teach people how to be happy. Srila Prabhupada came to teach people how to be happy, and his happiness was to see people become happy. He said, I'm trying to make hippies happies. So this is our proposition. How to be happy? Become a nice devotee. So the answer to all these questions really is to become a nice devotee. Now, the second part of this question is also very important. Second part is, and regarding husbands, should they not ask their wives to work outside? As I have heard, many devotees expect their wives to work and earn since they are educated. Okay, this is unfair. Should a woman be expected to fulfill the role of mother, caregiver, cook, cleaner, babysitter, wife, and work outside? Being a wife and mother is a full-time job. How can you do both? If a devotee, when her children are mature and have left home and are independent, they're in college or they're married, then go out and work, make millions, make crores of rupees. Be materially successful if that's what you want to do. But while you have young children at home, your duty as a mother, as a devotee mother, is to love and care for your children. No other service. There's a nice story. My god sister Arundhati Mataji wrote a letter to Srila Prabhupada. She was serving as a pujari at the time. And in pujas and murti seva, deity seva, archana, the first principle is cleanliness. So everyone knows babies are dirty. They spit, they poop, they pee, their diapers are a mess. How can you maintain cleanliness? So she was feeling very frustrated that she wrote a letter to Srila Prabhupada. How can I maintain my service? I'm feeling overwhelmed with my deity service and my service to my son. So what did Prabhupada say? He wrote a letter back. It's in the folio. You can find it if you look it up. Arundhati Mataji. Prabhupada wrote back and said, your service to your son is more important than deity service. He said child seva is more important than deity seva. This is first responsibility of a mother, to love and care for your children. And how can you do both? How can you do both? It's unfair. It's like double job, working overtime. You just get crazy. And you'll have to give your children to someone else's care. And who can love them like you love them? Who can you trust with your own children, your most priceless possession? That God's given you these children to care for and to love. How can you give them to someone else? So while you're young and you have young children at home, focus on your family. Focus on your children. Focus on your husband. And when your children are stable and situated, if they're in college, they're married and gone, and you're still young, because you had children when you're young, then make money. Enter the corporate world. Start a business. Take over the world. Do something for ISKCON. There's so much service to do. But women should take care of children if they have children. Otherwise, get a puppy. Get a little dog or a cat. And if you don't care for them properly, it's really not very, it's inconsequential. But if you neglect your children, this is a sin. Don't have children if you can't take care of them and love them. So a husband should not ask his wife to work outside if she has children. And frankly, I don't think it's a good idea anyway, because a husband's putting his wife in the association of other men. And there are many examples where a woman working outside of the home goes to some corporate office and the men don't care for your principles of chastity. They may ask you out, hey, let's go out, let's go have a drink. Let's go and have a cup of coffee. You know, you're hot, you're sexy. And what will happen? There's a nice verse in Bhagavatam I was just reading. Let me read it to you, it's important. This is in 7th canto, chapter 12, text 10, 7:12:10. Translation, as long as the living entity is not completely self-realized, as long as he is not independent of the misconception of identifying with his body, which is nothing but a reflection of the original body and senses, he cannot be relieved of the conception of duality, which is epitomized by the duality between man and woman, Thus, there is every chance that he will fall down because his intelligence is bewildered. If you're not self-realized, there's every chance you can fall into an illicit relationship in your workplace. And it happens all the time. So why would a husband want to put his wife in that situation? His first responsibility is to his wife to protect her, because she's the source of she's giving children. She's giving him so much benefit, taking care of his home. Wife is the queen of the house. He's not in charge of the home. Wife is in charge of the home, of the deity worship, of the children, of the cooking, the cleaning, to make an ashram. So when he comes home, he feels sheltered. He feels like, I've come to Krishna's temple. My home is as good as a temple, where I feel protected, I feel encouraged, I feel Krishna conscious, I feel Krishna bhakti in this place. This is ashram, and this is wife's responsibility. Why should she be sent out to work? Because you want more money? Live within your means. This is another brainwashing in materialistic society. Get more. Kama rupena konteya dushparena analena cha. Lust burns like fire and is never satisfied. There's always something more. They asked Howard Hughes. Howard Hughes is like the Birla Ambani Tata of America. He's no more, but he was a billionaire. He could buy anything. He could buy a state if he wanted to. He could buy a city if he wanted to. That's Mr. Hughes. Mr. Hughes, you can buy anything you want. What is it you want? Someone said, more money. I want more money. Lust can never be satisfied. You have money, you want more money. We can't satisfy a fire. You don't put out a fire by giving more fuel to it. So the brainwashing of materialistic society is, don't be satisfied. Get more and more and more. Devotee wants to be satisfied with what he has in life. So husband should be satisfied with his income. Live within your means. Don't buy plastic happiness. I have a credit card, and you just start buying things and you run up huge credit card debt. When I was in my working life, I worked in the jewelry industry. I was repairing jewelry and repairing watches, watchmaker, jeweler. So sometimes people would come for a small purchase, a watch battery. Of course, in America, it's like $9. Here you can get for 20 rupees. In America, we charge $9. So I'm ringing up the sale, $9 sale, and they give me their credit card. And I run it through, and credit card declined. Oh, and they open their purse, and they've got 10 credit cards. They've maxed one card out, they give me a second credit card. We try and run a small $9 purchase. That credit card also declined. Americans carry thousands of dollars of credit card debt. Why? Because they're not living within their means. This is called plastic happiness. Plastic happiness is not happiness. Be satisfied with your income. Live within your means. So a husband should think, this is how much money I'm making. This is what we can afford. We can't afford more. Why should I send my wife out to work? This is backwards thinking. So this is the other part of the question, that a thoughtful husband should protect his wife and not expect her to go out to work. She has a full-time job, being a mother, being a wife. This is full-time job and a half. Job plus, not just full-time job, job plus full-time. So this is my perspective on that part of the question, that men should be trained, and they should be trained to protect their wives, not send her out to the workplace where every lusty man can think of having some illicit relationship with her. Keep her at home, keep your wife at home, keep her happy. One of my godbrothers, His Grace Mahatma Prabhu, made a profound statement. He said, who is a happy woman? Happy woman is someone who has a good husband, who treats her with respect, who wants to see her happy and satisfied in life, not who sends her out to face the stress of corporate world, that face the stress of job and making money. It's not a woman's responsibility. It's a man's responsibility to provide for his family. This is Shastra, this is Bhakti, this is our perspective on life. And we can tell people, take it or leave it. But if you leave it, you'll never be happy. Guaranteed. I guarantee you that. You'll never be happy if you live that kind of life. Live simple life. Be satisfied with your life. Don't send your wife out to work. That's my take on it. So that's our third question. Does someone have any other question that we haven't covered?
Thank you, Prabhuji. So one devotee has sent a question that, like you already mentioned, that Prabhupada has Prabhupada mentioned to Arundhati Mataji that child worship is more important than the deity worship. So one Mataji was asking that after marriage, like before marriage, we are engaged, like as a youth in the temple, we are engaged in various services, in preaching, in book distribution, etc. But after marriage, we are not able to do much of the services. So sometimes we feel depressed, or we think that after marriage our services, like we won't be able to do much services in the temple, and maybe we have a fear that our spiritual life will impact if I get married. So how to overcome that?
Excellent question. And let me back up and repeat what I was saying, that this is service. Raising children is the most important service he will do. For example, look at the impact Srila Prabhupada's mother had. Prabhupada had a mother. Every pure devotee has a mother. And how much impact her service as a mother had on the world. She was so protective of Srila Prabhupada. She was going to do one yajna. She was going to take blood from her breast to protect her child. She would take saliva and put it on Prabhupada's head whenever he would leave the house. Always loving protection for her child. She wasn't out working. What she offered to the world by her love and protection and raising Prabhupada, the child, impacted the whole world. And many pure devotees, trust me on this, I've seen with my own eyes, many extraordinary children are coming to devotee families. And raising them, although it's troublesome, everyone you can see, ask any mother, the whole thing is trouble. From birth is trouble. It's not a happy, painless, it's a painful thing. Raising children is troublesome. They cry, they keep you up at night, they poop and they pee, and they slobber and everything. They run here and there. They completely overwhelm your life. But it's not forever. But every mother goes through this, and every pure devotee has a mother. So what mothers give to the world is worshipable. Can it compare to offering? It's more than millions of aratis. It's more than millions of going on Harinams. Because you're raising a pure devotee who can change the course of human history, as Srila Prabhupada did. Don't underestimate the contribution you make as a mother. And don't think it's not devotional service. This is the duality devotees get caught up in. That I have my service, my blissful service, I'm doing arati, I'm dressing deities, I'm going on Harinam, I'm going preaching. That's all wonderful. And when your kids are a little older, you can take your kids with you. And how powerful a preacher you can be as an ideal mother. To give an example, because we say example is better than precept, correct? How powerful a devotee mother can be in her preaching to show an example of ideal Grihastha life. Everyone is looking for what we have. The whole world is looking for happiness, no? They're looking for what we have. They're looking for stable relationships when there's so much divorce in the world. They're looking for obedient children that grow up to be responsible members of society, moral members of society, contributing members of society, not a leech in society, a detriment to society. Everyone wants what we're offering. So when we show that to society by our practical example, how powerful is that preaching? Don't forget that also. Whatever we do, can be connected to the preaching mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And raising children is no exception. So don't think it will be troublesome. Ask any mother that's had children. It is troublesome. Especially, of course, I don't know. That's not my life, obviously. But ask any mother. It's painful to give birth. It's disturbance. You can't sleep. The children, in the first 6 months or so, they wake up in the middle of the night. They want to be fed at 1 o'clock in the morning. You see some Grihastha devotees coming to Mangal Arati and they're like trying to stay awake because they can't sleep because their kids are keeping them up. But someone has, this is selfless service. Don't think, what about my happiness? Think about what is going to make Krishna happy. Swanushitasya dharmasya sansidir haritoshanam. What will give toshanam? What will give happiness to Krishna? And raising children in Krishna Bhakti is part and parcel of Krishna Bhakti. It's pleasing to Krishna. Every pure devotee has a mother. So be mother of pure devotees. Be a mother of pure devotees and they will change the world. You see some of these kids here in Mayapur. They're sadhus. They're little baby sadhus, 5 years old, 6 years old. And they're amazing people because they were devotees their last life and they've come back. Suchinam Srimatam Gehe Yoga Brashta Vijayate. They're Yoga Brashta. They're picking up again their devotional life, or they're coming from the spiritual world. Who knows who these people are? Maybe they're fallen demigods. Who are they? They're powerful devotees. They can do more than any of us will ever be able to do. So to raise a devotee, to serve, to become the servant of such great devotees as mother, because mother is what? Mother is first guru. Correct? Mother teaches us everything. How to eat, how to wash your body, how to dress your body. They teach us everything. What is A, B, C? What is 1, 2, 3? They teach us everything. Mother is first guru. Such a responsible position in society. It's not less, it's more. By raising children, you're going to do more, not less than temple service. Temple service is always there. When your kids are little, when they're walking and you can take them with you, they can also do temple service. Do it together. Go on Harinam together and show the world what is a wonderful life of family life in Krishna Bhakti. So don't be afraid of this. Accept everything as an opportunity to surrender more and more to the Sankirtan mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hope that helps.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, just one thing I wanted to ask that, like entering into the Grihastha ashram, like you already mentioned that it's a responsibility. So fulfilling that responsibility, we are not able to do, like earlier we were doing our morning program regularly, but after that, if we were not able to do morning program or chanting our rounds in the morning, if we are taking care of needs of our husband and children. So that create a kind of depression or a depressed situation. So you already answered, but if you can answer that, if we are, how to take this situation that if we feel depressed in that situation.
Okay, this is a simple thing, practical thing. It's about time management. Early to bed, early to rise. Now, if your husband is working, he doesn't get home till 9 o'clock, and you take prasadam at 9:30, 10 o'clock, you go to bed at 11 o'clock, you're not going to get up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. You need to rest. But when you do get up, have an abbreviated morning program. Stand in front of your altar. First thing, have an altar at home. Number one, have an altar at home, a place of worship. Even if it's a simple altar with some pictures of Guru Gauranga, your Guru Maharaj, Panchatattva, Sadgoswamis. Have a simple altar. It doesn't have to be a big, huge puja program, but have a morning program. For 20 minutes even, offer a diya, offer an agarbati, offer some fruit, sing Guru Vashtakam, and start your day in that way, and do japa. And then husband goes off to work, and you have some spiritual substance to your life, not just working and eating and sleeping and family life. Have some spiritual substance. Have an abbreviated program. You don't have to do a whole, Mangal Arati, Japa period, Guru Puja, Bhagavatam class, Tulsi Puja. If you can, wonderful. If you can't, adjust according to your need, but have some morning program. Make Krishna the center of your life. Do some japa together, uh, do some little arati together, do a little kirtan, and if you can't do in the morning, then do in the evening. I can't tell you exactly how to manage your life, but the answer is about time management. Look at your life and see where are those areas where you're not filling with Krishna Bhakti that you could be filling with Krishna Bhakti. So examine your life and adjust accordingly. But don't neglect chanting. Even if you can't chant 16 rounds, chant something. Make a vow, I'll do 8 rounds every day. Come hell or high water, I will do 8 rounds. And stick to your vow. Now, if you've made a vow to do 16 and you're not doing 16, then try and organize your life. That Srila Prabhupada would say, he would chant 8 rounds before he left for work. He'd come home to take lunch, and then he'd chant 4 rounds. And when he'd come home in the evening, he'd chant 4 rounds, 16 rounds. When I was working, I did similar thing. I knew that if I chanted 10 rounds before I went to work, I could chant 3 rounds on my way to work, 3 rounds on the way back. When I got home, I had 16 rounds done. So the principle is to look at your life and organize it in such a way that you can be Krishna conscious. But don't neglect the desire to be Krishna conscious. Make time management, facility for progress in your spiritual life in this way. It's about time management. Simple answer, time management.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji, for telling us that how we can do it practically. So I think Harshita Mataji has a question. Harshita Mataji, would you like to ask?
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji, for your very elaborate answers and clearing so many things. I would like to ask that normally we are always so careful when dealing with devotees. We are always extra careful to be very polite, humble, not get angry, not be rude at all. We think twice, try to think twice before speaking. But in husband-wife relationship, it might not always be practical to be so careful every time we talk with each other. So it like quarrels and some big things is very normal between husband-wife. So is that to be considered as Vaishnava Aparadh? How can we deal with that, or how can we be careful all the time? Thank you.
Very excellent question, Harshita Mataji. Your husband is a Vaishnava. Wife is a Vaishnavi. And yes, if you make offenses, this is Vaishnava Aparadh. This is why my esteemed God brother, His Holiness Gaur Govinda Maharaj, would instruct his Grihastha devotees, and then in the morning that you do dandavat to each other. You offer obeisances to each other. You bow down and vancha kalpa tubhyascha. Because they say in English, familiarity breeds contempt. We forget that we're living with a Vaishnava or a Vaishnavi, and we quarrel about insignificant things. So we should get over that. I mean, in the context of Grihastha Ashram, it forces us to be better. It forces us to be tolerant, to think of someone else before ourselves. But both people have to be thinking in that way, being willing to sacrifice. There's an animal, the Hindi word is sahi. I think it's sahi. It's like a cat that has these spines on it, like little spears. So sahi, like monkeys. You've seen monkeys in Vrindavan. In the wintertime, they all huddle together like this to stay warm. So sahi also, in the wintertime, they huddle to stay warm. But there's this spine, and they poke each other. They don't mean to hurt each other, but they inadvertently, accidentally, they hurt each other. But they need each other to stay warm. So this is a situation. In Grihastha life, you need the support of your husband. Husband requires support of his wife. But due to close association, sometimes we make some offense to each other. So be respectful that this person is a Vaishnava. This person is a Vaishnavi. And they should be respectful to each other. Do a basis, offer pranam to each other. Remind yourself that I'm living with a Vaishnava. I'm living with a Vaishnavi, and get over the small stuff. Will you remember whether, devotees fight over such small things. At the end of life, will it be important? And is your happiness that you can enjoy in association, is it worth sacrificing that to be right, to be in charge, to be the boss? It's not. Don't sacrifice your happiness over small things. Don't fight, because there's great happiness in relationship with another person who should be your well-wisher and have affection for each other. So be respectful, because yes, short answer, yes. If you offend, if you make offenses, if you're rude to your husband, this is Vaishnava Aparad. If your husband's rude to you, this is Vaishnavi Aparad. Because it's not ordinary relationship. You've come to Krishna. Devotees are dear to Krishna. Krishna says, Aham bhakta paradino nasvatantri ivadaja saudagagrasta hridayam bhakta janapriya. He told Ambarish, Durvasa Muni, he said, Lord Vishnu told Durvasa, I have no independence. I'm controlled by my devotee. My devotees are so dear to me. I'm in the heart of my devotee. And and my devotees are in my heart. He said, I've surrendered my independence to the devotees. Devotees are so dear to Krishna. So if you're rude to a devotee, you'll get a reaction. And that reaction will be, you will become unhappy. So husband should be respectful to wife. Wife should be respectful to husband. Don't fight over small things. It's just not worth it, because you're sacrificing your happiness to be right and to argue over tiny, small things. Is that helpful, Harshita Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you very much.
Be harsha, don't be shoka. Be happy, don't be unhappy. Any other question?
Okay, some of the question, Prabhuji, but I think you have already answered that one Mataji is saying that when we are looking for the devotee profile nowadays, every Prabhu is looking for someone who is working outside. So many devotees have faced this issue that if they are not working, they got their profiles rejected from the boy devotees. And also the similar question to this, that if your Prabhu want to do some full-time seva in the temple, so then should wife continue her job if he want her to do this?
Continue to have what?
Continue her job. Like if Prabhu is doing a full-time seva in the temple and he wanted that his wife to continue job.
This comes to the category of education for men. Do you want a wife, or do you want a business partner? Is she just another source of income for you, so you can buy a better car? Or she's making money, I'm making all money. We're double income. We can have a higher standard of sense gratification. We can get that Toyota. We can get this flat. We can do. This is greed. These men have to be educated who are thinking like this. They should, if you want a wife, or do you want an income? Money you can get anywhere. A man who gets a Vaishnavi wife is the most fortunate person. Most fortunate. So a man who's thoughtful, who's a good devotee himself, will look for a wife, not another income. You know, the whole thing becomes, it's a difficult thing, actually. Because people think, okay, you're from a good family, you're a devotee, you're initiated, you're attractive, but how much money do you make? It's not about money. Don't be obsessed with greed for material progress. Think of spiritual progress. Who's going to stand by you and be your wife, and not just another income? And unless you're doing business together, if husband and wife have a business together, if they open some shop where they're selling clothes or selling food or something, if they're working together, that's different. But what husband who's thinking clearly wants to send his wife out to work to associate with other men? They're not thinking clearly. So maybe he's not a good choice. Think of the bright side. He's thinking you're not a good choice. You should think he's not a good choice. If he just wants money from me, is that all you want? You want money and you want sex? That's all you want from me? Not a good choice. Find a man that wants a wife. And if you want to have some business together, no problem. But husband and wife should work together. Otherwise, you're inviting trouble. As I read from Bhagavatam, we're not aloof. Don't think that I'm aloof from the attraction to the opposite sex. Our Shastra is full of examples of sadhus, sannyasis, rishis. Our institution, ISKCON, is full of examples where devotees thought that I'm aloof from this attraction, and they're not aloof. So don't put yourself in a situation where you're tempted to violate the principles of morality, what to speak of Krishna Bhakti. And husband shouldn't want to put his wife in that situation either. This is just common sense. So marry a guy that has common sense. I hope that answer is helpful.
Yes, Prabhuji. So Bhavna Mataji, would you like to ask your question now?
Yes, Mataji. Hi, Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, thank you so much for the wonderful lecture. Prabhuji, my question is that how much is it okay or fine amongst devotee couples to express their romantic feelings amongst each other? Or is there any limit, okay, this much should be expressed? How much is it fine to express this?
That depends. That's a very important question. That depends on the couple. Some couples are going to be by nature detached. This is, again, it comes to a discussion of Varnashram. We're in different stages of life. We're different people. There's not one answer that fits everybody. Spiritual life is not like a dhoti or a sari. The sari is one size fits everybody. Tall, short, skinny, fat, one sari fits everybody, right? Spiritual life is individual. So some couples may be by nature very detached. Samodama tapasocham kantar ajramayujam jnana vijnanam astikyam brahma karma sabhavajam. Samadama, they're by nature sense control. They're not so romantic. They're more aloof from bodily conception of life. If someone's not, if they're more romantically inclined, then you have to set the standard yourself. The point is, we have to make progress. If husband and wife are very romantically inclined, they're very inclined for sense gratification, okay, that's the body you got. That's the mind you got. Are you excluded from Krishna Bhakti because you're attached to love and romance and sense gratification? You're not. You're not excluded from Krishna Bhakti. It's an obstacle to Krishna Bhakti, but you have to work through it and understand that there's a higher happiness. Happiness is not bodily. And romance is temporary. Romance today and then enemies tomorrow. Even I was party to one unfortunate situation, one devotee couple, oh, I'm in love, I love you, you love me, hearts and flowers, Valentine's, smoochy, smoochy. But then they became bitter enemies, became complete bitter enemies. Things change. But in Krishna consciousness, if devotees are Krishna conscious, that their relationship doesn't change. If it's based on Krishna bhakti and not on bodily affinity for each other. So what does real romance mean? Romance means that this person is the most important person in my life, and I'll sacrifice for his happiness or for her happiness. It doesn't mean you touch me, I touch you. You stimulate my senses, I stimulate your senses. You stimulate my mind, I stimulate your mind. This is not romance. This is material conception of romance. But if a person doesn't have that understanding, that's okay. We don't reject you. It's not that you're excluded from Krishna Bhakti. There's no place for you in Krishna Bhakti. There is a place because Krishna Bhakti is very powerful. It's the only way that we get beyond our material attachment. So we have to live through our material attachment. So live through it, experience it, but it will never make you happy. It cannot make you happy because we're souls. We are spiritual, trying to have a material experience of happiness. It can never make you happy. It's like oil and water. Oil and water never mix. They're always separate. They can't mix. And the soul can never find happiness in matter. And what is a body? A body is blood and skin and hair and fat, heart, brain, lungs, skin, kidneys, spleen, liver, stomach, intestines. Is that going to give you happiness? But we experience romance. Dil tal pagal hai. Oh, you're so amazing. You make me crazy. You're so amazing. You're so sick. This is not happiness. But because we're not convinced of that, we experience it. But that experience will lead to unhappiness. Guaranteed. It's the law of nature. That experience will make you unhappy. And that unhappiness will make us think, why is this not making me happy? Because I'm not a product of matter. I am the Atma, I'm the soul. I belong to the spiritual world, the kingdom of God. I belong to Krishna. I'm part and parcel of Krishna. And my happiness is a happiness in my Krishna bhakti. But if that's not where you're at, if that's not your standard because of your lack of progress in spiritual life, okay, live through it, but make progress. So this is our proposition to the world. There's a place for everybody in Krishna Bhakti. And your one standard, the standard for you is not the standard for somebody else. Even if someone's eating meat, we have a place for you. Come to Kirtan, come to our satsang, take prasadam, associate with devotees, and by that, you give up eating meat. And the same thing for any materialistic activity. There's no other solution but Krishna Bhakti. It's not that we're going to put someone who's eating meat on the altar and ask them to worship the deity. That's for a devotee who's practicing the higher standard of Krishna Bhakti. But all of us start somewhere. And the name of the game is to make progress. So make progress in a relationship, because the whole romantic thing, in English we call it cathexis. Cathexis means this whole extreme romantic experience. Oh, I'm in love, and he loves me, and he's beautiful, and I'm beautiful, and hugs and smoochies, and this whole experience. There's no future in it. There's actually no future. Because what we want is actual affection. And affection, actual affection, caring for someone is not a bodily exchange. It is a spiritual exchange. So think over that. Don't be discouraged if you're feeling very romantic. Most young couples, newlyweds, are very romantic. Okay, experience that, but it will not make you happy. Guaranteed. It cannot make you happy for very long. Happiness in the mode of passion is what? It's like nectar in the beginning, but it's poison in the end. So this is the law of nature. We can't contradict the law of nature. So be the best devotee you can be and make progress. This is the short answer. Be the best devotee you can be. Be who you are. Don't pretend. and make progress from wherever you are. There's always something more each of us can do. Hope that is helpful to you, Mataji.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Other questions?
Okay. Yes, Prabhuji. So I got a question from one Mataji here that uh, like some of the points we have already discussed yesterday that you have told regarding the as the Srimad Bhagavatam says that the definition of having illicit sex, and that so Mataji was asking that is it okay to discuss before marriage to boy openly that I want to follow this much standard like this, and if yes, if we can openly discuss before marriage, like while sharing our expectation, should we discuss this? And if yes, then at what stage this should be asked? Because initially we cannot ask this that what level you want to follow, or I want to follow this, like that.
Good question. Excellent question. That's an important question to understand if you're going to be compatible. But at your first meeting, you can't say, do you want to have sex with me? The guy will think, this girl's crazy. What's wrong with this girl? But when you get to know each other, when you spend time talking on the phone, exchanging emails, WhatsApp, however you associate, there's nothing wrong to discuss. Because devotees should be honest with each other to understand what is your expectation. What do you expect from me? You expect me to work all day and take care of your home and take care of your kids and take care of the deities and take care of you? What do you expect from me? This is a relevant question. Because life has become complicated in Kali Yuga. In previous ages, husband would meet wife at the Yagyashala. The veil would come off, and this is your wife. You meet at the Yagyashala. You're doing Saptapadi Gamana, and this is done. This is a different age, and because people live very simple life at that time, not so complex as our lives have become in Kali Yuga. So these are relevant questions. What do you expect of me? And you should ask and explain what I expect of you also. And if you're not on the same page, don't get married. If your husband says, I'm a very lusty guy, and I expect you to fulfill my lusty desires according to my need, and you're not inclined in that way at all, maybe it's not a good idea to get married to that person. Let him get married to a person who is willing or inclined in that way. Marry a similar type of person. And this is the whole matchmaking process according to our astrological consideration. There's Daiva, Manusha, and Rakshas. Marry someone of like mind if you want to be happy. Don't marry because this gets controversial. Family enters into it. Your family wants to marry in your caste. They want to marry your father's business partner's son or daughter, or many considerations come in. But the main consideration should be, can I live with this person? Can I spend the rest of my life with this person? Can I be happy with this person? Will they take care of me? Will they be responsible? Will they be a father? Will they be a husband? These things are the important questions. Everything else is less important. So have these conversations, but not right out of the gate, first thing. Get to know the person first. Understand what is their background. Are they brand new devotee? Or have they been a devotee 15 years? They understand what is celibacy. If someone's been celibate for 15 years, then they have a background of understanding what is sense control. If they're a new devotee, they're uninitiated, they just started chanting, it's a new idea, controlling senses. Maybe you can't, and you've been a devotee for 15 years, maybe you can't expect very much from them. So all of these considerations have to be made. And you make them for your happiness, for your progress in spiritual life. Get married with this idea in mind and you'll be happy. Don't get married because of someone is forcing you to. Don't get married because you think they're cute or because they have lots of money. Get married because this person can be an asset in your spiritual life. They can take care of you. They can be a father. They can be a husband. Get married for that reason. And you'll be happy. Make Krishna the center and you'll be happy. Simple thing.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. So one more question from one devotee. Mataji is asking that we are getting married to a devotee boy, but in the family, the other persons are non-devotee. So we have to deal with them as well, with the family members, maybe the parents, parents of that devotee boy, the parents of our husband, or their relatives. So how should we deal with them?
Be an ideal wife, they'll respect you for that. And the small things, like there's going to be a wedding, they may want to serve non-veg, they may want to serve alcohol, tolerate. My advice, tolerate. Like my sister is a Muslim. She wears hijab, she does namaz 5 times, strict Muslim. She's married to also to an Indian. He's from Gwalior, he's a Gwalior Muslim. So we were obliged to go to a wedding. My wife and I were in Vrindavan. So I had some ulterior motive. I said, okay, we'll go, but you have to come pick us up in Vrindavan. So they came, picked us up in Vrindavan, and we went to this wedding. Fortunately, there was no non-veg. Everything was like Jain, no onions, garlic, anything. But it's, people like diving on this food like they never eaten in their life, it's all ultimately contaminated food. But you have to eat something. So internally, you're thinking, I don't eat this. I eat only Krishna Prasadam. But you have to eat something to play the role. You have to play the role of a family member. And they do a little puja, they give little dakshina, they do this, they do that. You play the role, and people will think, oh, these Hare Krishna people, they're very nice, they're not fanatical. Don't go and think, no, this is boga. I don't eat boga. There's onions in this, isn't there? What do you mean? I don't dance, and you guys are drinking alcohol. This is sinful. Who do you think you are? We're Krishna Bhaktas. Don't make a scene. Internally, you'd be very fixed in your Krishna Bhakti, and you'd be respectful. Be an ideal wife, and the family will appreciate you, and moreover, they will appreciate ISKCON. I think these people are saintly people. They're very balanced people. They're not fanatical people. Now, it's not that you have to eat meat or drink alcohol if they ask you to. And I'm not suggesting that's the situation, but if it were, it's not that we drink alcohol or eat meat. We have our limit. But don't be so fanatical about small things. Keep the big picture in mind. His family will respect you for being ideal wife, for thinking, this lady is such a great wife to my son or to my nephew or to my cousin. He's so lucky to have a devotee like that, have a woman like this as his wife, devotee wife. He's so lucky. And they'll appreciate Krishna Bhakti if you're not a fanatic. In situations like this, my experience is let the small things pass. So my advice to you, I don't know the exact circumstance, but be ideal wife and people respect you for that. Because they expect you to. They expect that of you also. And let your husband, he knows how to deal with the family. You just tag along and do what he does. It's his family, so. Anything else?
Yes, Prabhuji. So one devotee is asking that she has heard that some devotee says that divorce rate in ISKCON is highest compared to all sampradayas. So what could be the reason for same?
That may be, actually. One thing is that other sampradayas are not emphasizing yam niyam, char niyam especially. They say you get married and Guru is not placing any restriction. You get married and live your life, come to the temple, they give some mantra, this, that, and the other thing. And also devotees tend to be very fanatical. We should be practical minded people. Be practical in your life. The answers to the question, most of the questions in life are very simple. But we become so fanatical. You know, if your husband's having a hard time following principles and you reject him because he's not a perfect devotee, or wife is not following, you know, there's a higher principle, and the higher principle is to please Krishna. Is to be a decent human being. You know, I've also been, I'm speaking from my own personal, I've been through very tough times in my life. I was also divorced. Went through a very unhappy time in my life. Because I was a fanatic. And I mean, so many things were there. So I'm speaking from practical realization, honestly. Devotees get so wrapped up in the details, they forget the big picture. In English, we say, you can't see the forest for the trees. A forest that's made of what? Of trees. But if you're so obsessed with one particular tree, you can't see the whole forest. We want to look at the big picture. How will I spend my whole life in Krishna Bhakti with this person? This is the big picture. And if we neglect that, then divorce. We should be compassionate. We should be loving. These are practical things. And we should be careful who we marry also. This is next to initiation. This is the most important decision you make in your life. It's a lifelong decision. It is a lifelong commitment. So, and the other thing is that in society, there's a 50% divorce rate, and that's coming even in India. It's coming up in America, it's 50%. The odds are against you. So when you approach this, understanding the things that we're talking about, if you approach it carefully with dependence on God and Guru, dependence on Siksha from senior devotees, from experienced devotees, taking guidance from them, then there's much higher hope for you. But devotees don't want to take advice from people. They don't want to be careful. They get married for the wrong reason. They do so many stupid things, actually. So there's a high divorce rate. But actually, the real essence of the answer to this question is that other sampradayas, they don't ask. Prabhupada was very strict, very orthodox, shastric. This is all coming from Shastra. And he required these principles. So in other sampradayas, they don't require this. It's their standard, but initiation doesn't, they just give initiation like water. So that's the answer. That's what I understand anyway. Interesting question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji, for answering so many questions of us and clearing so many doubts. So if anyone has any other question, may I ask. So maybe one last question, Prabhuji, I wanted to say that if you can please guide us that what things we should be careful while raising the children in Krishna consciousness.
What was the question?
So what things we should be careful raising children in the Krishna consciousness, because many times we observe that the children of devotees, they are not much interested in Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, and you know one of the main reasons why? Because I'm talking to it. This cell phone, this mobile phone. I saw a 3-year-old perfectly navigating his way around mobile phone. Oh, here's where I see a movie. Here's where I see this. Here's where I see that. Our kids. Can you hear? My wife's making Italy chutney.
Yes, we can hear you, Prabhuji.
Okay. My wife is running the grinder.
We can
So
hear you. Yeah.
we allow our children to be exposed to television, to internet, and to mobile phone, information on mobile phone. And it's all brainwashing information. Protect your children from this. Don't give them free access to television, especially. What you can see on television today, 2020, was X-rated when I was a child. When I was a child, we used to watch Leave It to Beaver, and the husband was taking care of his wife. Wife was a housewife. The kid was responsible. He was obedient to his children. He'd get in a little neighborhood trouble. So it was an interesting sattvic drama. Or Sea Hunt. He was a hero. He was a diver, and he'd get the bad guys, and the good guys always won. And the women were chaste, and God was good. And even in Indian movies, even 20 years ago, the hero was the Brahmin, was the devotee. And what is it today? Then they're the cheater, the immoral person, the fake. And religion is mocked. Religion is decimated. Even in India, through media. So don't allow your children to watch movies, television. I mean, this is a controversial thing, but I'm just giving you good advice, because what are they going to see? If you have a television at your home, and many devotees do, okay, that's your choice. But by having television in your home, you're inviting all of Kali Yuga to come into your home with all of Kali Yuga's values of intoxication, of meat eating, gambling, and illicit sex. Because that is what you're going to see on the television. Are you going to see? And Mayavad, also in India, Mayavad. There's some spiritual channel also. It's full of Mayavads. I am God, you are God. Why worship? Why go to the temple? Just, I'm your guru, give me money. So don't expose your kids to these things. Bring them to the temple. There's so many Krishna conscious videos, so many Krishna conscious classes, association with other kids. Do that, and your kids will. And the other thing, this is also a bit controversial, but Prabhupada requested that husband and wife desiring to have children should perform Garbhadan Sanskara, which he encapsulated, he distilled down to chanting 50 rounds. It's not a big deal. It's a festival. You're calling a soul to come be trained in Krishna Bhakti. You chant 50 rounds. It's a festival. It's not a lusty, dirty thing. It's a festival. It's a loving thing. You're inviting a soul to come to your family. And amazing Krishna conscious kids come by that process. So if you're intending to have children, then do it intentionally, not accidentally. And amazing children come. I mean, this is a whole story in Bhagavatam. Aditi and Kashyapa. How did Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha come? Read the story and understand. So it's a complex situation, but basically, don't expose your kids, whatever children have come to you, expose them to Krishna, bring them to the temple, bring them to associating with other devotees, let them hear. There's so many Ramayana, Mahabharata, Vishnu Puran, so many things you can see videos. Let them be exposed to this, not to the garbage of the internet. Half of internet traffic is all pornography. And a kid playing with a phone, a young boy or girl playing with a phone, a mobile phone outside of your immediate jurisdiction can see all this complete sexual garbage on a phone. We can use this mobile phone as we're using now in Krishna service, where your kids can pick it up and completely pollute their mind. So be careful, because there's all kinds of garbage that our society is intentionally exposed to make them like dogs, hogs, pigs, and animals, whose only objective in life is sense gratification. So protect your kids from that, and they'll be enthusiastic for Krishna Bhakti. Teach them to sing bhajan. Teach them to chant. You're chanting japa, come chant japa with me. Chant when, kids are chanchal. It's hard for them to sit. But try to encourage them in Krishna Bhakti best you can. And at the very beginning, Garbhadan Sanskar. Call a pious soul into your family from the very beginning, and you'll have less trouble. So maybe I touched some controversial things, excuse me. I'm just speaking from my own understanding, from Shastra and from the instructions of Srila Prabhupada. Anything else?
Yes, Prabhuji, whatever you told is really helpful to all of us. So one Mataji is asking that, like we know, we had your association when you came Delhi as well in Rohini temple. So maybe most of us had already met you already. So we know a little about you. So if you can just please tell us something more about yourself. We are really inspired by your classes and giving us your you are always available for us for giving your guidance. You are so humble and generous to all of us. So we just know that you live in Mayapur, you are a Srila Prabhupada disciple. So we really wanted to know a bit more about you, if you can tell, please.
I'm a product of Srila Prabhupada's mercy. I was a #1 dust, badmas, fool and rascal. I came into Prabhupada's temple like a dirty dog, and devotees were kind to me. They gave me prasadam. They didn't judge me. And because of that, I'm sitting here today talking to you about Krishna Bhakti. So yes, I live here in Mayapur. I live just off the campus. I'm like 5 minutes walk from the temple. We live in a new building. We helped build a building here. So we have a flat here where we intend to spend the rest of our days. Mayapur is such a wonderful place. We feel completely sheltered from the material world. It's rainy season also, so it's rain. I love the rain. Some people hate the rain. I love the rain. So beautiful, everything's so green and lush. So, and we grow vegetables on top. When we built a building here, we put, if someone sends me a WhatsApp message, I'll send some pictures you can share. We grow tulsi, and my wife is growing okra, bindi, baigan, seem, loki, adrak, all different types of vegetables. I'm growing tulsi and some flowers for puja. So we have 10 raised beds where we have a garden on top of the roof. We like to do deity worship. We get up very early in the morning. We get up 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, do japa, go to the temple for Mangalarti. We go to a temple that's close here because the main temple is basically locked down. Go to Mangalarti, come back, do Tulsi Seva, full Seva, then do Arati. First we do Abhishekam, deity worship, dress the deities, puja, then Arati, take prasadam, then by then it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock. Take rest for an hour and a half, then go about our day in the afternoon. Evening again, there's Arati and Kirtan. So we have a very nice life here, sort of transcendental, not very much affected by the whole lockdown situation. It's a little hassle to go out shopping because people are so uptight. We're not very much affected by the situation. And now I'm even got transportation. I just bought a scooty. I bought a TVS scooty. So we get around Mayapur. I was raised in a very materialistic family. My father was an orthopedic surgeon. He used to teach orthopedics at the University of California. UC Davis, not UC Davis, UC LA. He was a lieutenant colonel in the United States Air Force, very educated man. I'm the oldest of 5 children. My mother was an artist. Unfortunately, she left this world when I was young, when I was 16. My misfortune. I wasn't able to have a relationship with her as a devotee. A very sad thing in my life. But here I am. I met the devotees in 1973, came to the temple with some friends who said, please come to the temple. I said, okay, let's go. That's an interesting story. I'll tell you sometime. So I came July 1973, was initiated December 1973, took Diksha, second initiation November 1974. Never looked back. I worked in the world as a jeweler and watchmaker. I was a gem merchant. I used to travel around central United States with about $400,000 worth of precious and semi-precious gemstones. Worked as a jeweler, fixing jewelry, as a watchmaker. Did that for 20 years. I'm retired. Never look back on that. Never have no interest to do business anymore. So I'm retired here with my wife, Sudevi Devi Dasi. She's from Orissa. She grew up in a village in Orissa taking care of cows. Very, very pious lady. She used to take care of 13 cows. And we met in America. She was a customer, actually. So we met in America. I was in a very difficult position. She was divorced. Her husband was Indian guy, alcoholic, very unfortunate situation. Anyway, by Krishna's arrangement, we're together, very happily, having peaceful Grihastha life together. Not ideal life. Ideal life means no divorce. I don't compromise on that. I'm not an example of that, unfortunately, but this is Srila Prabhupada's teaching. He said no divorce. I'm not an example of that. But I can say this is the most unhappy thing if someone has to go through that. So this is my life. Somehow or other, through it all, Krishna's mercy has been there. Guru Kripa, Jagannath Kripa. We worship Jagannath here, Jagannath, and we're worshiping 20 Shalagram Shilas. So I can send you some pictures too sometime through WhatsApp. So that's my life. I hope to stay here in Mayapur the rest of my days. I'm 68 this year. So I figure maximum, I have 10 years left in my life maybe. So my happiness is doing this, is to push on devotees, to try and encourage younger devotees, because as you are respectfully say, oh, Prabhupada disciple, Prabhupada disciple. Okay, very good, there's an etiquette. My happiness is to try and serve you because you're serving my spiritual master. You're the future. Try and understand my vision. You're the future of my spiritual master's mission. You've come forward to serve Prabhupada. How appreciative I am of you. So my service to you is the most encouraging thing in my life. One of Srila Prabhupada's beloved godbrothers, and Srila Prabhupada had many devotees with whom he was had loving relationship, not just this typical unfortunate thing we hear, Prabhupada and his godbrothers. He had people that hated him, he had people that loved him and give their life for Srila Prabhupada, and such loving relationship. One of them was Shripad Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj. Prabhupada used to keep his picture in his ashram at Radha Damodar. He said, he's my Siksha Guru. He had that kind of relationship, very loving relationship. Anyway, forgot where I was going with that. Forgot I got too far down that discussion. I forgot my original point. You remember? Sevanandi Mataji. Talking about Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj. And Prabhupada. Anyway, I forgot the point I was trying to make. I've become old, 68 years old now. So maybe I have 10 years. Oh, this is the point. He said,
I think,
this
yeah,
devotee,
Prabhuji was saying that
great
you
devotee.
you are serving your spiritual master like that, maybe.
Yes. So Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj said, he made a statement that was very powerful. It meant a lot to me. He said, I'm a backwards pushing devotee. What did he mean by that? He says, I want to stand behind the devotees and push them all forward. This is the happiness in my life. To see all of you younger devotees that have come to serve Srila Prabhupada, to push you all forward. This is the most happy thing in my life, the most encouraging, blissful thing in my life. To see all of you become happy in Krishna Bhakti, to become happily situated in your ashram. This is the happiest thing for me. So if I can do that, this is a perfection of my life. This is absolute perfection of my life. So you want to talk about what's meaningful, the meaning in my life? This is the meaning in my life. To see young devotees take up the mission of Srila Prabhupada. Because in a very short, we just saw the sad passing of my esteemed godbrother, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj. All of you will see this in your life, that your guru will leave. All of us are leaving. We're an endangered species. I'm a younger disciple of Srila Prabhupada. Most of my godbrothers are in the mid-70s, some 80s. How long can we stay? Sooner than you think, ISKCON will be in your hands. So anything I can do to push you forward, to encourage you in your spiritual life is the greatest happiness in my life. That's what my life is about, in this stage of my life. There was a stage in my life, I was chasing dollars. I'm here retired because of it. It also had meaning in my life to have business, to have prosperity. I had very prosperous business. I'm here in this situation because of that. At the time, I was thinking, why me? Why I have to do like this? I should be in arti. I should be doing preaching. I should be at the temple doing seva. Why do I have to do this? This is why. Because I'm free. I have no financial anxiety. I'm free to preach. I have money to support Krishna conscious institutions. This is the meaning to my Grihastha life, in my Vanaprastha life. There's stages in life, and you will also go through that. As you enter Grihastha life isn't everything. You'll have children, your children will grow up, and they will leave you. So who is left to take care of you? Your husband or your wife. Husband and wife together. Vanaprastha life. Vanaprastha life also means husband and wife can serve together. And at the end of life, who is there for you? Prabhupada and Guru Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So to see devotees take up responsibility in ISKCON is my highest happiness. That's my life. You want to ask me what my life is about? That's what my life is about. I'm a little crippled now because of this lockdown. I'm stuck here I'm happily stuck in Mayapur. How can I complain? Ganga is here. Prasadam is here. Radha Rasbihari is here. Devotees are here. Jagannath is here. I have good association with my wife. No complaints. But I miss face-to-face meeting with devotees. But you don't get everything in life either, right? Who gets everything? You don't get everything. So someday, I hope to also be able to travel again and see all of you, see the Gauranga Sabha, see the Nityananda Sabha, see the base groups, see the temples, and be inspired by your coming forward to serve my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. That's the most meaningful thing in life. So that's my life. In a nutshell, that's my life. So I should stop. I have a meeting. I'm also working with some devotees here for devotee care. Because as I was saying, devotees are getting older, so we're trying to arrange for some devotee care. It's a big, trying to get things done in India can be challenging. So they're coming here at 6 o'clock. So I have to take little prasadam and be ready to.
Sorry, Prabhuji, we
No,
extended
don't be
your
sorry.
time.
Nothing to be sorry. I'm so happy to be able to talk to you. Frankly, it's the highest happiness in my life. Just talking about Krishna, trying to encourage devotees. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. All Vaishnavis, please come by.
So we all can unmute and thanks, Prabhuji. and offer our obeisances as well. So Prabhuji, please bless us that we can actually apply all the things that you have told us, and we can actually follow the Grihastha Ashram sincerely and be devoted to Krishna consciousness.
Okay, Tatastu.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank you so much,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, thank you so much.
Prabhuji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.